How did we get here? Why is it so bad? It's the BS Report with Brian Smith. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for being an everydayer. Thank you for being part of this community. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. Today's episode, we are taking your questions for Brian Smith, National College Football Analyst, Locked On Portal. How did we get here? Is there any hope left? How can Luke Fickell get out of this if there is a chance? Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On College for $20 off your purchase. Brian Smith joining the show. We used to have him on more because we used to, honestly, every time we'd have recruiting wins, we'd have you on, but that just hasn't happened much. And then his team has struggled. And obviously you're a busy man, but we're in dire straits. And I wanted to bring you on to get a national perspective. And I think the biggest question is this, man. Like, you came on, I remember specifically, we did a show when Luke Fickell was hired and we were over the moon, right? We were thinking year one, 10 wins, let's go. And you said, whoa, it's not going to happen that fast, but you still like the hire. Why did it get to this point? Like, what's your national perspective on this?
A couple of things. Number one, Fickell and his staff haven't done as good a job of recruiting as they should, especially inside the Badger State. Like, it's been bad. Secondarily, and I know this is the very unpopular topic, your state doesn't spend enough money on the Badgers athletic department in general, football being the prime source. Believe me, as somebody who talks face-to-face with recruits year-round, that's a problem. And when I say facilities and all that, that's just part of it. But like NIL, there's that nasty 3-letter acronym. It's got to explode at Wisconsin for them to be a consistent bowl team again. I'm not talking national title. I'm just talking 8-9 wins. There's no friendly here. That's a big problem. And then finally, I'm just surprised that they've missed so badly with the coaching situation. Like, the coordinators obviously are not working on offense. Both of them have not been good. But you and I talked about this off air. I don't know how good they are because your quarterback gets hurt as soon as he walks on campus. Like, you can't win without your quarterback. You have no chance. So that's a disaster on top of it. So you're playing guys that are not ready yet and going through a Big Ten gauntlet. You combine all that, you get a team that's not going to a bowl game again. So, I mean, they're going to win 4 games, maybe something like that this year.
Probably not. I don't even know if they're going to get 4, Brian. And here's my question. And this is what I just honestly want to pick your brain on. And people are excited for you to come on here because you come on and you give a very honest, authentic, real take on the Badgers that's kind of outside of our fandom, right? Because you cover the sport as a whole. I get all of this. And I've made the same points, right? I don't think Wisconsin is as invested on the NIL as they need to be. Quarterback luck has been horrific. But gosh, man, there were a ton of Wisconsin teams that weren't the most talented with a backup quarterback that would never lose by 37 at home to Iowa, right? Like, there's something there that's just missing. And how do you lose by 27-10 at home against Maryland as a 10-point favorite? And then last year they lost 42-10 to Iowa, and this year it's 37-0 to Iowa. Like, what do you make of just it's like an utter collapse.
I'm starting to wonder, and this is always my fear, and I have to study this because the portal comes into play here. This is the nasty part on the back end. If some of the players have apathy, if they're already starting to look like, I'm not going to be here next year. This isn't Wisconsin related, but I got a message from a former recruit that I knew well today. He didn't put anything in the message. He just sent me 3 videos of him at the school he's at making plays in practice. What do you think he's getting ready to do? And I just sent a reply to him, what school do you want to transfer to? I'll just end it there. But I guarantee you, based on what's going on, there's a lot of that in Madison, Wisconsin. So I'm just going to get the dirty out of the way. If you think it's bad now, wait till next season because you're going to have to completely hit rock bottom and restart the roster. And that's if you get rid of Fickell. If you do not, it's just going to kind of flatline and you're going to stay in this 4 to 6 win range until you do. He's not the guy. For whatever reason, he's not the guy. I don't follow it anywhere near as close as anybody that's watching this show or you, but they're recruiting. I've said it for years. D-line got a little better recruiting, but outside the numbers, it's not in the stratosphere with being a Big Ten program. It's not. Outside of Vinny, like he can fly. They haven't had many guys that they've gotten that could. Every question with the recruit is, could he at least compete at the obvious schools? Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, and Michigan. If the answer is no, he's not good enough. Over half the recruits are no. So that's a problem. Now, a few of the kids they get are really good. Some of the running backs, a few of the D linemen, et cetera, they've gotten. That's all great. But your depth is nowhere near where it needs to be. And then you have so many holes at key spots. Again, corner can't be where it's at Wisconsin right now. That can't be. Because even if you got great front, which Wisconsin's front is good, they're exposed because it's hike and throw. You take the box out of the game. That's just one way you kill Wisconsin, who might have the best run defense in the country, and you still suck on defense. That should never be the case because your cornerback play, safeties, et cetera, 3rd and 5 is the first down. It's just, when you're giving up 2.5, 3 yards a carry, you shouldn't have to worry about 3rd down much. Wisconsin, you do. And then on offense, that's a whole nother animal. The injury is the biggest problem, but obviously the coaching. I refuse to watch a Wisconsin football game. It's so bad. I won't do it.
I'm going to get you up to Madison. You and I are going to do one together. Well,
after they actually have a real football team for me to watch on offense where I don't have to go get therapy afterwards, maybe if I could find a way to go to the Notre Dame game and Lambeau, I've always wanted to see Lambeau anyway, but that ticket's going to be ridiculous. That ticket's going to be – I don't have the money to be throwing around for tickets like that. I ain't paying $1,000 for a college football game.
What if I buy the ticket for you and then we do a live show after? Just file that in the back of your head. You don't have to say yes or no. File that in the back of your head. That would be a ton of fun. And I know Badger fans would be excited to see you because you do have a lot of people on this channel that enjoyed the takes. Let's shift here. Did the Badgers make a mistake by firing Paul Chryst and maybe not going with Jim Leonard? I know that's impossible to ask, and a lot of people love the Luke Fickell hire, by the way. Like, that was a very well-celebrated hire. But did they make a mistake? Did they sacrifice their culture?
That's a great question. And let me put it into context of how highly thought of he was. I was told the 3 guys that Notre Dame interviewed were Matt Campbell, Luke Fickell, and then obviously Marcus Freeman. I was told that Fickell was pretty close. So,
yeah.
I mean, that just shows you how hard it is. I mean, Marcus Freeman and Fickell devised that crazy defense they had at Cincinnati that Notre Dame runs. You got better athletes there, but Wisconsin's done a pretty good job with it in some ways, but the offense has been so bad. Even if they did have some of the corners, I don't even know if it would matter. Like, I'm starting to think that when he was at Cincinnati, a few of the guys, and some of them are at Notre Dame now and some are other places, he's not a recruiter. I've heard some awkward things about dealing with him, working for him, etc. I'm guessing that's probably not helping him on the recruiting trail. He can be pretty rough. So those guys in today's era, and Wisconsin is not a destination location because it's so far north. It's just hard to get kids to go there. That's not a good combination. So combined with the concerns with the NIL compared to the Big Ten brethren, like Michigan, I mean, it's insane. If they didn't have the money they did, Michigan would be a 500 team right now because I don't think they're very well coached. But at the same time, look at it this way. Wisconsin has nowhere to go but up. The next hire cannot be any worse. If they hired you, it could not be any worse. This is ridiculous.
I would take it. And I would hire you as a recruiting assistant. You'd be the director of player personnel.
I would do well. We would get D linemen every day. That would be my number one goal because we need it.
We're going to take a quick second here. We got a bunch more with Brian Smith breaking down where the Badgers are, including some of your questions from the Discord, including, are there any rays of hope here? We're going to make Brian Smith find some positivity here amid the darkness. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick second for our friends of the show. A quick second, as always, to say thank you for tuning into Locked On Badgers. Today's episode brought to you by our good friends over at Wayfair. Wayfair is absolutely incredible. It's a place I've used a lot to go and get anything I need for my home. The holidays are coming up. Christmas is coming up. And it's time to get your house a little more comfortable for your guests, for your celebrations, so you can feel a little bit more like, just a little more welcoming, a little more hospitable. Bring those people into your home It makes it easy to personalize your house for the holidays. Huge selection on every style, every budget, free, easy delivery, even on the big stuff. Incredible pictures of the products before you buy them and amazing reviews. You are not going to go wrong over at Wayfair. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way, way less. Over at Wayfair, wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. You will absolutely not regret it. Today's episode also brought to you by our great friends over at FanDuel, longtime sponsors of the Locked On Podcast Network, the official sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. NFL's here. We know that. It's incredible. FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers, I've talked about this before, $300 in bonus bets. For new customers, if you bet $5, you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love all the different types of bets. Any type of action you want, parlays, futures, teasers. I love the live in-game betting. So even if the game gets out of hand, Iowa, Wisconsin, you can still stay in the action. You can still put some money in and have some fun with it. Stay involved over at FanDuel. Right now, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today to get started. That's FanDuel.com. All right, Brian, I have some questions for you from the Discord. Again, I said Brian Smith is coming on. Submit some questions, and we got some. Yeah. First one here. I am ready. I want this one. I want to start with the hopeful one. Are there any slivers of the faintest lights that can be used as beacons of hope? From Brett.
Beacons of hope? I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is what you told me before the show. I've always thought Wisconsin fans were very intelligent and they're just realistic. And I think they know that it's time. Some other fan bases, when they're in this situation, kind of sit on their hands and they wait too long. Now, SEC fans are crazy and stuff like that, but some Big Ten fan bases wait too long. If you don't rally and put pressure on the administration, etc., these schools, and I know Wisconsin fans are bananas. As long as that stadium's packed, it's hard to fire coaches. They don't like paying more than one coach. I think the biggest thing is, as goofy as it sounds, is just being loud, wearing shirts, fire Fickell, like the whole 9 yards. If you do that, you can turn this around, because Wisconsin's a great job. It's a great location. You're an hour and a half or something like that from Chicago. It's a Big Ten school. They've been to Rose Bowls. I think the biggest hope is just, okay, we really can't go much further down. We know what needs to happen. Now you guys got to do it or we're going to get you out of your job. I know that sounds crazy, but you got to turn it around that way. He ain't the guy. We kind of thought that coming into this season, but now, I mean, 37-0 to Iowa. If they don't fire him after that, look, you and I didn't think they were going to beat Iowa necessarily, but neither one of us thought that was going to be 37-0. I mean, I thought, 24-10 or something like that. Okay. 37-0. And the stat that is worse, the only game they've scored over 20 this year was Middle Tennessee State.
Middle Tennessee State.
Y'all are averaging 15.5 a game. If you take out the Middle Tennessee State game, it's pretty close to 10 points a game. It might be the worst offense in the FBS Power 4 level.
I think it is. I think it's the worst Power 4 offense in the country.
That is so hard to believe, because so many of those offenses, while they didn't throw a ton, they were freaking juggernauts. Play action here and there, and then just really good offensive lines and a gazillion good running backs. It got you to the Rose Bowl. I think that's a pretty good way to be. So it's hard for me to understand, if they don't do something with Fickell, how the people that, there's no nice way to say this either, the really big money boosters got to say no to everything. It can't just be football. It's got to be the arts. It's got to be academic, everything. Until you fix the coach, I'm not giving another dime. It has to be the big money people that do that. And that's touchy, but it has to be that way. That's the only power you have as fans and as boosters.
Where is Wisconsin in terms of the tier list? Like, maybe stack it up even to some other jobs that have come, because this is as low as Wisconsin's been from a football standpoint, but you hit it. Like, Madison is a beautiful spot. I know it's up north, but it's a beautiful city. It's in the Big Ten. It's flush with cash. There is history. They're building a brand new giant practice facility. I'm highlighting, obviously, the positives here. This is against the backdrop of a 37-0 loss. But where is Wisconsin maybe in the tier list of available jobs that you've seen the last couple of years?
I think it's one of the better ones, because this is the part that people don't want to hear, but it's true. And this isn't just a football thing, but if you're going to take a job, quote unquote, out of state, what is the first thing you have to do? You got to call your wife and say, will you go? That's serious. That's just how this works. I've had those conversations with people. I've talked to Urban Meyer about that and stuff. Like, we got to, you know what I mean? Like, you got to make sure it's good with the family. That's not going to be a hard sell. It's cold, but it's a cool city and you're not that far from Chicago. It's in the Big Ten. There's a lot of money. It's a pretty easy sell. And I'm going to be the first one, I think, to start this. Hire Will Stein, the guy that is the Oregon OC. For the love of mankind, hire an offensive coach. If you hire a defensive coach, if you think I'm negative now, wait till I come on after you hire another defensive coach. You got to hire somebody that understands the forward pass was invented by Newt Rockne, and we've moved on since then.
So a name that has come up a lot, I'm guessing this is going to not maybe tickle your fancy considering what you just said. Jim Leonard has a name that has come up among Badger fans. Bring someone back that understands the culture, was a great defensive coordinator for the Badgers. In-state, obviously, is with the NFL, with the Broncos now coaching in the secondary. Thoughts on Jim Leonard potentially as a maybe option?
I think he would be one of the very rare exceptions I'd be okay with. He's considered to be a very good defensive mind. Obviously, my bag is the recruiting and transfer portal. I have no clue what Jim can do there. I do know he can scheme it up. So that's a bonus. My two questions are, A, can he recruit? And B, how would he do in terms, this is the big thing with new guys as far as head coaches. You're only as good as your coordinators. Which guys would come play in this era with what I'm talking about, like NIL concerns and all that? Offensive coordinators want toys. Are they going to be able to sell, we're going to get you the toys with our limited NIL? That would be my concern with him. Who's going to be his OC? If I knew that, I could give you a little more leeway, but I have no idea what Jim would do. The other part is he going to run the defense himself? Because with him being in that background and being a great player, being a great coach, a lot of DCs probably wouldn't want to be under him because they're going to worry that he's really going to be the one that runs it. So he's got to have guys that he knows already. They're, I don't want to say friends, but pretty close to it, because Wisconsin may not be the easiest stepping stone job if you want to be a head coach one day as coordinators. But if he gets those two spots, big if, then they could be an 8-4 or better program again. And we could actually talk about bowl games. I mean, right now that you're not allowed to say bowl game. You're not allowed to even say it out loud because they don't deserve it. But Jim, I think, would at least get them to that level. Like their defenses were really good when he was there. So that's an option. But again, I would still rather go offense if I could, unless I knew Jim had a home run hire as a coordinator. It's possible. I just don't know much about the guy.
No, that's really well said. I can tell you, because he was in the running, he would have been the guy if it wasn't Fickell. He became the interim coach after they fired Paul Christ, and he already kind of had the plan, which mostly leaked out. He was going to hire Sean Lewis as his offensive coordinator.
He's now San Diego State's head coach.
He's the head coach out there. So interesting. Sean Lewis throws the ball. That would have been kind of interesting. Another name, and let me know if you know much about him or not. Jason Eck is another name out of New Mexico now, coaching. He has Wisconsin ties. There was a question here about Jason Eck. Does he have solid connections to the state of Florida to help with recruiting? Is that somebody that you could see with any smoke with Wisconsin?
Well, I saw that game. I remember it was a Friday night game. New Mexico went to the Rose Bowl and just steamrolled UCLA. Power downhill. They had 3 running backs that were like FBS level. Like, what in the world is going on? They were all portal guys. So I know he can evaluate. And you can sell if you can get kids to go. I don't even know what town it's in New Mexico.
Not sure either.
That's not good because I know every town in America based on recruiting. But if you can do something good at New Mexico, a job like Wisconsin's probably a godsend. Because, trying to get kids to go to New Mexico, that's got to be rough, man. Because you're recruiting LA kids to go there or Dallas kids, et cetera. That's rough. But Wisconsin, you're right down the road from Detroit, Chicago, Minneapolis. I don't think it's going to be that rough. I think that'd be interesting. I don't know much about his background. I don't know if he's got where he's from. I have no idea. But I know he can coach. Again, New Mexico is a bad job, but he's doing a pretty good job there so far.
Yeah, and he has Wisconsin connections as an offensive lineman here. We're going to take a break here. Come back, one more segment with Brian. So a couple of big picture thoughts in the Big Ten. Penn State, private equity coming into the conference. We also had a question if Brian Smith is able to coach in any capacity. That's from Jeff Grimes' alter ego. We'll just leave that one there for a second and let Brian stew on it. And as Badger78 says, we are ready for his honest takes. It will hurt, but it will be honest. as Brian Smith always is, honest and authentic. We have one more quick second for our friends of the show. We're going to come back and finish off this great episode with the great Brian Smith. But first, a quick second for our friends of the show, incredible friends of the show over at Game Time. I've used Game Time to get tickets for college football specifically, but also for Major League Baseball. Game Time is an incredible way to get any type of ticket that you need to all sorts of events, not just sporting events, but specifically, we're going to talk about college football, sports, playoffs, the rivalries, the tailgates, the energy in the stands, whatever's there. You can use Game Time to unlock those experiences for yourself, your friends, your families. You can gift it. It's absolutely incredible. And that's why I use Game Time, right? To unlock some more of those experiences in my life. Maybe I'm going to use Game Time to get tickets for Brian Smith and myself at Lambeau Field next year. He's going to have to commit to come. He's going to have to commit to do a tailgate, come to a Locked On Badgers event. We'll do a live show after. If he does all those things, but let's hook it up on Game Time. It'll be an incredible time. Maybe the next year the Badgers will be a little bit better and score more than 15 points a game, which would also be amazing. Take the guess. We're going to buy tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEOD ONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, take a go. Download Game Time today. All right, Brian, let's bring you back on here. Let's finish off here. Again, had a couple more questions from people. This has been a report that's been going around for a while. I think it's only a matter of time for a lot of schools, private equity coming into the Big Ten. Does that help schools like Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois, Northwestern, or does it just raise the ceiling that everyone's spending and not really make a big difference?
Depends on how it's broken up. Is it across the board?
So
I have no idea.
TBD, from what it sounds like, and this is what I've heard, it's a pretty massive deal the Big Ten is talking about, but it does sound like some of the bigger schools are either kind of pushing back because they already know they outspend everybody at a pretty high level, and this is going to do nothing but close that gap, or they want a larger percentage. Think maybe a Texas Big 12 type situation.
If it's the latter, it's terrible for Wisconsin. I mean, you're already getting run over by Ohio State and Michigan in recruiting as it is. So this could end up in the courts for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, fair.
You know, Wisconsin can't see the gap grow. But if the Big Ten votes on it, the big boys will lose because there's only 4 or 5 of them. They're going to get just crushed because everybody not named Oregon, Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State's going to vote for it.
Yeah.
They're going to lose the vote.
Let's go. I'm fine with it. What's your thought? This is from Frank. Thoughts on just kind of mid-season firing versus end-of-season firing? Actually, he had another question later that I'm missing on. But, yeah, what are your thoughts on if you don't believe a coach is a guy, do you think you ride it out? Do you mid-season, especially if you don't maybe have a guy on staff that is an obvious interim-type coach that would step up? That
was one of my points. Like Coach Smith at Penn State, he played there, was a receiver, was really good. He's been with Franklin the whole time. As soon as James was fired, they used him as the interim. Natural decision. Is there somebody like that at Wisconsin that you would feel comfortable? Because if the answer is no, it makes it really rough, man, because your roster will flood to the portal. And it's not exactly a loaded roster anyway. I'm talking about 2 wins next year if you hire the wrong interim guy, like literally. So if you don't have the right guy, you can't do the in-season firing. That sucks. But that's something the administration would know far more than I. I'm okay with it if you do have that guy, especially if he has a quote-unquote natural recruiting acumen, because you also got to retain your talent to the best of your ability. There have been guys that I know that have stuck around during, I'm not going to get specifics, that stuck around at jobs when there was a change and actually got verbal commitments before a coach was hired. You need somebody like that at Wisconsin right now. I don't know who that would be, but the point is still the same. You got to recruit your roster first, do your best to keep recruits, but that's almost impossible. And then once the head coach is named, you got to hit the ground running with whoever that guy is. He's got to buy into the new head coach, because if he's been selling all these guys that are on your roster that, hey, it's going to get better, blah, 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 then he doesn't get all of the new head coach. Into the portal, they still go because he's going to tell them. So the university has to make the right decision with whoever the interim is if they're going to go that route.
Well, that's well said. I love this question from Daltrey. Which was worse, Florida State 2-10 last year or Wisconsin, who very possibly could end up at 2-10 this year when you look at the schedule coming up?
Florida State was worse for 2 reasons. Number one, I had to cover it. And number 2, hey, I'm just keeping it real here. Florida State won 13 games the year before. Most people, myself included, thought they were going to win 10 or 11 games in 2024. The Badgers over under this year on FanDuel is 5.5. I mean, it's just not the same deal. So I knew they could be bad, and you and I talked about it. I said, I could see them winning 4 if things didn't go right. I didn't expect the quarterback to get hurt. You know, I mean, I think once he got hurt, that probably took some steam out of the season. And then, you know, everything's kind of falling apart. But this isn't much better because it's kind of that point now. There's just apathy around the program. I mean, they have to make a change. I know you've told me that you didn't think they would necessarily make it, but after 37-0, I'm guessing that you've had that conversation with yourself, Ryan. Like, if they don't make it this year after that, why even bother? So it's close to
37-0 shook me. 37-0, that shakes a man to his core.
When did you leave the stadium? Did you stay for the whole game?
Whole game. Whole game.
Okay, Ryan Herrings, you got to give this man a badge because I would have been thrown out for other reasons, okay, if I was a Badger fan. I will not accept 37-0. I'm not going to that. So you paid money for that. You should file some kind of lawsuit. I don't know what's applicable here, but you should file a lawsuit.
So every year we do a locked on meetup where the community gets together. Iowa was our locked on meetup.
Oh, dear God.
Oh, so we were there in force. Let me ask you this. This kind of dovetails into the recruiting stuff we talked about a little bit. Big Tuna wants to know over under 10 commits come signing day.
Where are they at right now? How many?
I think 15-ish. So Tayshaun Bardo, the receiver from Indiana, just decommitted. This class still has Amari Latimer in it. Still has Jaden Petit in it. Still has a couple pretty nice pieces in it. Amari Latimer specifically is a big-time running back you and I have talked about a lot. But, yeah, what do you think of – let me actually rephrase this a little bit. If you make a change, you're going to lose most of this class. But a new guy's going to bring people as well, right?
Well, your bigger thing here will be portal. Let's just use Signetti for an example. They brought 13 guys from James Madison.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on eligibility and all that. So recruiting, I know this sucks because I'm a recruiting guy first. It's got to take a back seat a little bit. You got to keep Latimer no matter what. Good luck with that. I highly doubt that happens, but you got to try. But I would guess 8 to 10 in that range, and you probably add 4 or 5 guys for the new staff brings in, and then you kill it in the portal. I'm just going to say it. Right now, everybody out there in Badgerland, we are now naming Ryan Herrings the president of the Badgers Portal Club because it's going to be necessary. Just to get to a bowl game next year, they're going to have to find money they don't have right now. It's not going to be easy because the roster is going to get hit. That's just part of the change. And by the way, for those who do not know, it was just recently voted on January 2nd through January 16th is the portal window, but that's not the important thing. It's the only portal window. So if you have something go wrong in spring practice, too bad. It's like it was in old school. You're stuck. And everybody's in that boat. So everybody that has money, the Ohio States, Texas A&M, Florida's, they're going to overspend to try to keep players not necessarily to play for them, but off your roster. This is my biggest concern for the Badgers because the new guy's going to take a hit just with the roster, but you got to support him like an upper echelon Big Ten school would. And you don't give me warm and fuzzies every time we text about Big Ten money compared to what Wisconsin's spending in the NIL. So
you don't like you. I don't know. I don't even have words for it sometimes because I just don't think they're. I will say this. Let me find my words for a second. I think change can sometimes spur excitement and momentum and hope if you get the right guy. I think that matters, right? You get a guy like Jim Leonard who has Wisconsin ties. People love him in state. Or you get a guy like you mentioned, Stein from Oregon and the excitement that he would potentially bring. I mean, I think those things could churn up some excitement. It's hard to put money into something that doesn't seem like it's working. And I think that's definitely a part of it here.
That's the way I look at it. Like apathetic is the word I used earlier. And if you're a fan, when I saw that come across the screen a little bit ago, I wasn't even picking, and I'm the most negative guy, I'm pretty sure of that. 2-10?
Easy.
I didn't even think they were going to go 2-10. That means basically they're not winning another game pretty much, unless there's some other direction.
So they have Ohio State next. Then they go to Oregon. Then they have a bye for Washington. And then they have Illinois, then Indiana. And they finished Minnesota. Like, where's the wins there? Maybe you trip up Minnesota, maybe?
Possibly. But I'm looking at this right here.
It's possible. It's totally possible. I mean, listen, possibly Washington coming to Madison for an early game.
Have you seen DeMond Williams play?
He's awesome. I know. He's awesome. I'm just saying, like, they're West Coast team to that. Okay. I'm still searching for him. Dude, I'm still searching for him.
Sell your tickets. That's all I'm going to tell you.
So that's my point, though. It could be 2 or 3 wins. Last question here, and this is a point I've made, but I think you kind of agreed with it. There's a lot of people that are worried. You make the change. We mentioned Amari Latimer, but also guys like Nicholas Clayton that you and I talked about, Jalen Williams from last year's class. I don't think it matters if you have the wrong guy, ultimately, right? Like,
those guys aren't going to stick around for losses. If
right.
You don't hire somebody they agree with, no, if you hire Jim Leonard, Clayton will stick around. But if you don't hire somebody they respect, I'll be getting inboxes from Florida kids on the roster and stuff like that. That's how that works. Yeah, here's my film. Send it out for me, coach. Yeah, that's how this stuff works. They're gone. They're going to make their decision 100% on their long-term future of trying to get drafted. That's it. You got to hire the right guy and fast. That's the one reason, by the way, as a parting point, that Leonard would probably have a chance. He's not a head coach right now. Like Penn State people, we're going to get Cignetti. You have zero chance because he's going to be in the playoff. You can't wait if you're Penn State for Indiana to go to the playoff. You have to have your coach hired. So it ain't going to be him. So they need somebody like that. I think, again, Will Stein at Oregon. I'm ahead of the Will Stein club for Wisconsin Badgers. That would be great. I would actually watch Wisconsin football again. I mean, I will not watch them this year. I cannot watch them. They're that bad. So
you're not alone. You're not alone. He is the great Brian Smith. Brian, where can they find everything you're doing over on the portal?
Yeah, man. You can find me at Locked On the Portal, Locked On _ the Portal on X, and you can find us all over the place. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Podbean, anywhere you get your pods. So just like Locked On Badgers.
Love it. Thank you. Everybody tuning in as always. Appreciate Brian for jumping on when he did. Follow up this week, a bunch more content. Ohio State coming up. We'll have a crossover episode, a couple guests coming up. Basketball content, media days were just here. A bunch coming up on this week's schedule of Locked On Badgers. Thank you again for tuning in, and on Wisconsin.